For the remarks, the good gentleman from the 44th District, Representative Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The message of this resolution is clear. We are all gathered here today to honor the men and women who dress in blue, provide freedom to our neighborhoods and communities, that bring honor to the cities, the counties, and our state, as well as their departments, their families, friends, and neighbors. The work they do is oftentimes overlooked. As they prepare for their shift, they are unaware of what awaits them. Will they be providing relief and comfort to a family that has lost a loved one? Will they be responding to the scene of a child assault? Will they be sent to a missing child, an abused infant, a suicide, street fight, or domestic violence call? Many of us enjoy the work we do because it changes from day to day. We do not do it because of the pay and the benefits. Many of us do it because we care and we want to help people. Oftentimes, seeing people at their worst is mind-numbing and mind-boggling. No matter how mind-boggling or dangerous the call, officers will always respond. We have chosen this sometimes thankless career. Many people wonder why officers risk so much and do these tasks. I know it is so our children, our families, friends, and neighbors can feel safe. Otherwise, a world without law is a world living in fear. Sometimes that fear comes to them. This has been the case in recent months. Since October, we have lost 7 heroes. Sergeant Renninger, Officers Brenton, Richard, Griswold, Owens, and Deputy Mundell and Bernard. But one of the ways that we can truly honor the lives of those who have given their lives to protect and serve their communities and us is to resolve the lingering questions that have arisen from these tragedies, and to ensure that we provide the support to those families who have sacrificed their loved ones. To provide the courts and our officers the proper tools in the field to be safe and ensure these tragedies do not reoccur. This is what we owe those members of the law enforcement community that have given their lives to us to protect all of us. This is necessary for those future officers who put on their bulletproof vests, stand between our neighbors and those who want to do evil. That those officers and their families know that when they leave their house and kiss their members goodbye, that they will have the assurance, that if the unthinkable were to happen to them, that rest assured that their families will be taken care of. Today, we can say to those who have given their lives defending and protecting us, that they lived their lives in honor, that they honored us with the way they lived their lives. We will never forget them. As they left this earth to heaven, those very fingers that were used to protect us are the same very fingers that will touch the face of God. I ask that this resolution be moved forward. Thank you.
House Joint Resolution 4220 on third reading and final passage. Remarks, the good gentleman from the 44th District, Representative Hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I remember that dreadful Sunday morning when we lost 4 heroes. I remember when I was first notified by our dispatchers as I sat in my Seattle Police Cruiser. I remember the goosebumps that I had on my drive back to the station in West Seattle. When I got to the station, I remember the shock that was on the Seattle police officers' faces as we talked about this incident and got word of the incident. We could not believe that such a tragedy like this had occurred. We couldn't even really believe it was actually happening. Many of us thought that we were at war with very dangerous individuals in our society. You got to remember, for Seattle, we had just come off of the Officer Brenton shooting as well, and several car bombings of our patrol vehicles within the Seattle Police Department. Soon after the reports about how this happened, how Maurice Clemens was let out of jail on a ridiculous, silly bail to only go out and kill, let alone that this person had already been sentenced to a near life sentence in another state, in the state of Arkansas, to come out with clemency, to throw a brick through a woman's windshield of her vehicle, to assault police officers, and also to rape a child. That rape of a child that he had committed was his third strike. Then to hear that he wanted to kill police and shoot up a school. This had me outraged. I thought, how can we have this happen? And why would we ever give somebody like this the opportunity to do something like that again? What we can do at the legislature right here today is ensure that something like this doesn't happen. Fellow legislators, this is the only thing that really, really could have prevented the Lakewood police shootings. The only thing, the only piece of legislation that we're going to pass that could have actually physically prevented and stopped that tragedy. Today is the day, and now is the time to unanimously pass 4220. For our critics, I have two things to say. First, we spent so much time and debate and worked hours to come up with this legislation. This was not a hasty decision, and it sure in the world was not done in fear. But we put together a well-crafted, thought-out plan that involved the governor, judges, prosecutors, police agencies, representatives for the families, both Democrats and Republican leaders. Finally, when this body passes this legislation, it will be moved over to the Senate, where they will go through the same process that we just went through. And then finally, the voters will actually have the ultimate decision on whether they want to pass this bill. Secondly, to our critics, I am a firm believer that the overwhelming amount of people in this state will approve this constitutional amendment. The overwhelming amount of people in this state will surely pass this amendment. I also firmly believe this is one of the most important pieces of legislation that many of us will ever vote on in our entire lives. It is not easy to pass a constitutional amendment, but again, now is the day and now is the time. Please move this amendment over to the Senate, and I ask for a yes vote.